Okay, welcome back to the Difference Maker podcast. Your host, Matt and Chris Calderoni. Excited for this one this week, everybody, because we're going to be going into the third of 4 episodes for really setting yourself up for the new year, really getting yourself into the right mindset. We'll get into that in a little bit. Just some quick housekeeping, though, before we even get started. We're excited because we're getting back to our YouTube show that we have that we really like to, go in on specific topics with. That's going to be coming out in the new year. It's going to be live on our YouTube channels, and we're still making the decision if we're going to be posting it here, if you are tuning in just to the audio version of our podcast list and playlist. But it will for sure be on our YouTube channel. So if you're tuning in on YouTube right now, awesome. Subscribe to this channel. You'll be getting those weekly. We're going to be doing one a week, which will be awesome for everybody tuning in. If you're not, go subscribe now. It'll be nice and animated. There's going to be some worksheets with it we decided to as well, some cool things in the description that you can utilize and take advantage of, because we want this to be really, when Chris and I were talking about it, something that you get more value out of for understanding resilience skills. Like, for example, I know one of our first topics, without giving the full list away, is going to be how to properly visualize for athletes. We're going to give you step-by-steps. We're going to give you understanding, so that way you can stop feeling frustrated, get rid of kind of the stigmas behind it, and really understand what it is, because one of the most asked questions we get whenever we start working with an athlete is, how do you actually visualize? So we'll be going in on topics like that. We're excited for it. It's going to be high production value, which we're even more excited for too. So please make sure to check it out, subscribe, click the notification bell in the channels, and you'll be getting everything that you need.
Yeah, and this is a good opportunity too for, if you do have any questions, like,
yes,
we can go into more detail on the YouTube channel, and we can also go into detail in the blog as well, right? Yeah. So that's something, if you guys haven't even checked out yet, if you're not aware of it, we have a blog that we go into different topics and stuff like that. So it does follow along the same kind of breakdown that we do in podcasts. So if you'd like to enjoy reading a little bit more, go to our blog, check it out. We'll put both of these in the description below. So the blog and the YouTube channel, we'll put both of them in there so that you guys can go check it out.
And let's just quickly hit the purpose of the blog, just so that we get an understanding. Like, this is for anybody too that wants step-by-steps, right? Simply laid out, simply written out. We believe in giving actual practical advice from our blogs, actual practical application work from our blogs. Please make sure to check that out if you're somebody that wants that. It answers a lot of questions. It's something we refer to a lot, especially with our current clients that we have too, that can read more on certain topics. But the blog is going to have a lot of good stuff, and it's quick snippet information. We don't make things too long. We really make sure to keep them shorter, to make sure that you get the most bang for your buck in those articles.
Yeah, and we will go back and update it as time goes on. So
yeah. Before we get started in this episode, then, just because Chris and I are big soccer fans, Chris, thoughts on the World Cup? Going on it.
Congratulations to Lionel Messi, finally.
Yep.
Like, after watching him for so long, like from childhood and everything, it's crazy to see how it worked out. Like, yes, for sure, there's those people that always say, the World Cup was fixed, it was this, that, and everything else. But like, man, to watch them play that final, I mean, I've never seen a final as crazy as that.
Crazy as that. And you want to talk resilience, like, without, pushing anything onto it, but Lionel Messi understanding what he needs to do. Even France, like, hats off to the comeback. And like, there were just so many cool things. Like, I was talking to a couple of our athletes about it. And what I really liked about this World Cup, I know there was controversy surrounding it going into it, which I'm never going to take away from that. Totally understand. That's something that, of course, has to be dealt with on a different side. However, for what the World Cup produced, coaches that weren't seen before now getting recognition, that's going to, in my opinion, there's going to be a massive push for coaches that maybe weren't as, we'll say on the map before that are now on the map.
Like the Saudi Arabian coach.
Absolutely.
Right?
Right. Like that, even that. But I was going to say too, like it really showed off some good individual qualities behind players off the pitch as well. Yeah. Like you look at the Mbappe speech in the final, all those little things that were going on and that were actually shown this World Cup. Hats off. I think it was by far one of the most entertaining World Cups, and that's coming from somebody who cheers for Italy, and they weren't in it, and I was still hooked in watching that World Cup start to finish, aside from the fact we had a couple athletes in there too. But my point is like that was an entertaining show.
And even like, okay, for sure Messi won finally, all that stuff, but Kylian Mbappe in the final, 3 goals.
Yep.
That's like that's insane. And then to even have the composure to step up in the final penalty kicks, like to hit the first one, like there was no hesitation.
Yeah.
You know? So like it's kind of cool to see the handoff, if that makes sense.
And even the fact too, like having the belief, and it's funny how this will all literally segue into today's episode, but having the belief that Mbappe did or a Messi did, like you don't just show up and score, right? You don't just show up and put the team on your back. That is a will to do it. That is a will. That is a choice. That's a decision that very few people make on a regular basis. And it's something that we have to realize as human beings with a bunch of potential. We already know what to do. We already have this thing called the universe that we've been given. We need to now utilize it and put forth what we have to get done. Right. And I look at these players in the World Cup and it's like even the Saudi Arabia, even the Moroccos, right? Morocco, even hats off to Morocco for the fact that they even got to where they did based on how they did, beating who they did. Right. And it's like, okay, so there, of course, like you said, there's going to be naysayers and, oh, this was fixed, that was fixed, blah, 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 blah. Listen, I think this was by far one of the most entertaining dark horsed World Cups in a while.
Yeah.
I think it did a lot more for the sport. Not that it was dying in any way, but a lot more for the sport to kind of show why it is, quote unquote, king, if you will, of viewership. And I think it's only going to create something amazing going forwards for the 2026, which is obviously going to be happening in North America. And I think that's really going to be a good...
And South America.
Sorry. Yep. North America, South America. But I think that's going to be a really good precursor for what's about to come. Like, I look at these teams even, you know, like Canada and the USA and smaller countries or I should say smaller on the map, if you will, in regards to soccer, football, that are going to have 4 years now to develop a foundation they maybe built in this World Cup. Mm-hmm. I think that's really exciting.
I think like being North American, you know, being born here and everything like that, I think it really... It kind of shows like when Saudi Arabia and Morocco, and not that they're small countries by any means, but like, like talent can come out of those things. And it'd be nice to see that come over here for both Canada and the States, right? So it'd be very interesting to see how the game grows in the next couple of years going into this World Cup over here anyways.
Yeah, and the one thing we got to touch on quick, Salt Bay.
Oh, what an idiot, man.
Okay. So for anybody that's, you know, living under a bit of a rock right now and hasn't heard what's going on with that, it's like he did the number one thing you probably shouldn't do in the soccer world to try and get publicity, because that's what that was. That was a publicity stunt from him. And I think he thought by courting attention, like, listen, I get it. You know, no publicity, and any publicity is good publicity, right? No such thing as bad publicity. In this case, though, horrible.
Oh, it's just the fact that he's an internet meme. Like the internet wins. We made him famous on the internet, and then years later he comes.
Now we're going to cancel him, right? And for anybody that missed and doesn't know what he did, it's not like he hurt anybody or did anything crazy like that. But he went in under one of FIFA's rules, which was that people who get to touch the World Cup, it's a select group of people, and it's on their website. You can check this out. And the only people that are allowed to touch this World Cup or be with it, I believe, are senates of state, of something like that, or senates of the country.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is. It's senates of the country and people who have won the World Cup.
Really? I didn't know that.
Those are the only ones that are supposed to be allowed to touch it. I don't know if it's the word Senate, but it's literally like a representative of the country is only allowed. I believe somebody only in politics, a leader essentially.
And family too, right? Of the players?
I'm not sure about that.
Huh.
But you can check the site. It's on there. Literally what he went and did, essentially, went on the field. Nobody knows how he got onto the field. It seems like he was someone who had a lot of, players come through his doors to his restaurants, which we see. We see Pogba in there. We've seen Messi in there. We've seen multiple players in his restaurant. It seems like a little bit of arrogance got to him. He went on the field, decided to touch the World Cup, decided to hold it, decided to, manhandle it. And then essentially what the most awkward part was how he went up to these players and basically, like, he posted these videos. Why he did this, I don't know, obviously for publicity, but why he thought, like, this was a good move. And it's so cringeworthy when you watch it that it's just awkward even sitting there and watching it on your Instagram, right?
It is what it is.
Like, it was awkward. Like, seeing Di Maria's face, seeing, like, these different players, even seeing how he tried to stop Messi originally, and then Messi didn't want anything to do with it. And then he went and stopped him again to get a picture, almost as if Messi said, like, F this, just fine, piss off, right? It was just an interesting one because you want to talk about belief. That's a man with belief.
I was going to say, belief in himself and everything. You know what? I guarantee you that will never happen again, though.
No, definitely
Guaranteed.
not. I already heard too, and then we'll get into the episode now, but I heard that the U.S. Open
they banned him
right away.
if that's going to uphold, but we'll see.
Anyways, well, now that we've been able to do some housekeeping, let's get into this episode. So, today, episode 3 of 4 of Reinventing Yourself for the New Year, going into changing your limiting beliefs or changing beliefs and building a belief system. So, recapping last week really quickly, we talked about really making sure you get down and understand, purpose. And the week before that, we did identity and where you want to go. And we're doing this before we even get into targets, because what you all will realize when we get into the target setting episode, the reason we don't panic like everybody else does when it comes to target setting is like the tip of the iceberg. It's just a tool of focus for the next 30, 60, or 90 days. And we're going to get into that next week. So you don't really need to worry about that as much as you need to worry about who you believe you are, what your purpose is and why you do what you do, what your values are and what those rules are behind them, and then what your belief systems are. Because, listen, when we talk about it today and go into it today, you're going to realize your beliefs are a blueprint for what you truly think you can accomplish. And if your belief systems are poor and outdated, like a software, you're going to get poor and outdated results. So if we're going to take advantage of this and do this the right way this year, we need to lock you in on your beliefs. We need to make sure they're working for you, not against you. And we need to make sure that they're there to help you instead of push you back. Does that make sense? Simple stuff?
Completely.
Right? And we'll go into it. So let's start. Why do we even do what we do? We got to understand that first before we get into changing your beliefs and so on. So here's the truth about human beings. Your brain is a survival-based mechanism, okay? Meaning that it is not meant for you to go into environments and thrive and push to the next level and accomplish everything you want. Your brain is very simple. It's evolved in the past from saber-toothed tigers chasing you down. I'm sure you've heard this in some way before. And you want to make sure that you're safe, you got a roof over your head, and you've got food to eat. If you can survive at the baseline level, that is what your brain is literally built to do. Baseline level survival mechanism. You're breathing, your liver is filtering things in your body, you're functioning, you're so on. That is it. Your body and your brain, that is success. That's it. That's the level you're at. That's all it wants to get to. Anything above and beyond then comes into understanding that that's all about your will and your desire to make a vision come to life, right? And we talked about this, I think, the other week. 95% of your life is subconsciously lived. 5% is consciously lived. So we need to really make that work for us. And what you'll realize today is it's all rooted in this belief system.
Yeah, and it's it's not only, it's massive.
Yeah.
Like, again, if you're looking to make that change, I think not last week, but two podcasts ago, we spoke about the identity and how you're making choices to becoming that individual. It's, if you're not honed in on these beliefs not beliefs, but habits and actually looking to change them, it's very difficult. And like you said, 95% of it is stuff that we don't even necessarily know sometimes that we built up.
Yep.
And you got to actively work towards it. to, remind yourself to, okay, today I got to do this, this, and this in order to make that shift. So coming from the beliefs, it's going to be actually quite helpful in helping you change those habits, restructuring them, and then moving forwards to what you want to become.
Yeah, we're going to help you get out of your own way today,
Yes.
right? So going back to understanding why humans do what you do, you know what the brain does now. Let's talk about it. All we want to do as human beings is avoid pain and gain pleasure. That's it. Think about why you've ever done what you've done. The reason you've gotten in shape, if you did, hats off to you, but you wanted to avoid the pain of being overweight or being unhealthy or being unfit and gain the pleasure of being healthy, fit, or in shape. Why did you want that upgrade of money in your career? Well, you wanted to avoid the pain of not being able to purchase what you want and gain the pleasure of being able to live with freedom. Why did you decide to snap on that individual that you did? Because you believed that it would help you, work through a problem that you had with that individual and get out of the pain and into pleasure of getting it the way that you want. Long and short, everything we do as human beings is to change how we feel of being in a state of pain and getting into a state of pleasure. That's all you need to know. If you ever wanted to realize why somebody's made a poor decision because in their head they justified, it will help them avoid pain in some way. Think of people who go through addiction issues, right? The belief is, if I take this substance, drug, whatever it might be, I will avoid the pain of, emotional scars in the past and get into the pleasure in the future of living in a blissful state. That's what it does, right? Because research shows people don't actually enjoy the part or taste, if you will, of, for example, smoking or drugs or alcohol or whatever, and they actually enjoy more so the pleasurable state. That's what they chase. So the whole point is to go on a very, very, very top level of this. We do things to avoid pain and gain pleasure as human beings, and you got to understand that our brain works that way. So going into beliefs, all that beliefs is an understanding of in your past what's helped you avoid pain and gain pleasure. That's a belief system. And here's the crazy part. This is the major problem that we often face. Beliefs are generalizations. So what does that mean? Well, we've seen this before, right? Where it's like, okay, if in the past I have had a coach that was negative towards me, I've realized now to make sure I avoid the negativity of that and feeling poorly, I just won't listen to them anymore. But here's the problem with that. Not every coach is a bad coach. So if you have one experience in the past that set you off and it was a negative experience and you now go carry that forward and it becomes your belief system, you will always see that one individual or that one scenario as a negative one. And the problem with that is that's often what holds people back from taking risks going forward in the future to get to that next level.
Well, think about it. Even if you're an athlete listening to this right now, like you're in sport, you go up against that defenseman let's say you're a forward going up against that defenseman for the first time in the game. They stop you once, they make you look stupid. Maybe you don't go back down that side again.
Sure.
Or you're a student. You don't hand in your homework on time. You avoid talking to your teacher about it. They get you in trouble and then the cycle continues. Or even in business, same thing. You're late on your deadline, talking to your boss, and then it just continues to be that cycle. And then eventually you just start avoiding that. And it could go both ways, but
Well, and this goes right into the discussion too. So there's two things we want to mention quickly about beliefs. Number one, a lot of them are environmentally conditioned within you, right? Like we've talked about brainwaves before in past episodes and so on, but between the ages of 0 to 7 years old, your brainwaves are in literally a state called theta. Theta is what's also known as hypnosis, right? That's the state that it's in. Between the ages of 0 to 7 years old, you're getting conditioned by your environment where you're watching things and you're saying, okay, based on the people that I live with, the ones that are closest to me, that's why the saying goes back to show me your friends, I'll show you your future, right? You are learning rules that these individuals have, generalizations, beliefs that they have so that you can fit in a safe mode and avoid pain and gain pleasure to be one in that society. So let me give you an example. The reason it's so hard for people to break out of the chain of poverty isn't because they don't know how to invest money. Well, some of them don't, right? It's not because they don't know how to work hard. Some of them don't. But all of us have those skills and abilities and know what to do. The problem is, though, the pain of having that individual family member say, why are you doing that? Right? The pain of, maybe you had a parent who was always preaching on you. We can't do nice things. We got to save our money all the time. I know that was something for me when we started our business back in 2015. One of the beliefs I had to break was around money, right? And understanding that, okay, if I want to really grow this thing, I was always taught through our parents and the jobs that they worked, and now it's way different, but save your money, save your money, save your money, save your money, save your money. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't save your money. What I'm saying, though, is investing your money is different than saving your money. When I saw that we finally had, our measly little bank account numbers, it was like, how can I invest this now? Versus what everybody was saying was, don't be too risky. That's not good. But what I had to realize was that not everybody in our family was an entrepreneur. In fact, pretty much nobody was.
Yeah.
Right? Besides our grandfather, who passed away at the time, and by that time, I should say, and one of our other grandfather's brothers who also passed away. And it's like, okay, so you don't have a lot of people who buy into that belief system. We learned from that age, this is what we should be doing. Live within means. Don't do so many risky things, blah, 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 blah. But the problem is when you're talking about building a business, you have to completely rearrange that belief system.
Yeah, and I think this is one of probably one of the more important episodes going into the new year.
Yeah.
Because for sure, we had that belief. But to what Matt is saying, not all of them are, holding you back or bad or anything like that. It really, you got to take the time to just go through them and say, okay, is this working for me or is it not?
You gotta,
not everything is bad.
And to go in on that, like Chris's point, you've got to really see what's governing your life.
Yeah.
That's the point of a belief governs your life. It governs every behavior, every decision, every thought based on your belief systems that are completely subconscious. This is the 95% we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen. This is the 95%. Your belief systems that have been installed in you. Think of yourself like a computer. This is the software. And unless you update that software from Windows 95, it's always going to be that, right?
Unless you're happy with it, then by all means.
No problem. But that's why we're saying, now that you've put this vision together, now that you have these values and rules, now you got to sit there and say, do my beliefs match where I'm going? So we got down what beliefs are. Let's talk about the problem. Like I said, the problem is this. Most of us learn our beliefs from others, and we never sit down and consciously question those beliefs. And then we say this, it's my targets that are off, right? But it's not your targets, because here's the truth and the reality. Successful people, and I've said this in previous episodes, have the same targets as you and I. They have the same targets as unsuccessful people. The actions they take, though, are different. And we got to ask ourselves, why are their actions different? Why do they follow through on their actions when probably we have the same actions set out going forwards, right? The reason is because your belief systems are different from theirs. Completely. If you go talk to a world-class athlete, I will tell you this from working with them. Their beliefs based on what they can accomplish in a year are vastly different than what an average individual thinks, right? And I'll never forget, we were working with a junior sports team that we have, and we went in and said, this one individual player came up and said to us at the start of the year, he wanted a 90-point season. Do you remember this conversation? Mm-hmm. And we were sitting in that little the coach's room, right?
Yeah.
And the coaches looked at us and they said, that's absolutely absurd for him. That's way too high for him to shoot, blah, 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 blah. And I remember you and I sitting there almost in a bit of a conflict, saying to ourselves, but we believe that everybody should be able to shoot for their own ceiling, right? Now, did the player get 90? No. He walked away, though, with 75. That is damn good for a freshman on a team. That is damn good. And it's you look at that. What do we see right there? Those are generalizations that certain individuals have based on probably their playing experience that they now put on their player, who now went and got derailed in a certain manner. Now, I'm not talking technically saying maybe that player shouldn't play that kind of a game. I'm not going into that. I'm saying this player was a goal scorer, a point getter. He was good at that. He is good at that currently where he plays.
And I think, that's where, kind of branching off from that, but that's where it's tough when, coaches, people that are listening to those ideas or those, targets, do you suppress them, or do you, give them the opportunity to take that step forward?
Personally speaking,
it's a hard question.
Personally speaking, from the success I've seen we have with the athletes we do and the clients we do, because we've had, not to toot our own horn here, we've had a lot of stories of people saying, how did that happen? There's one individual, and I know he's tuning in to listen to this, he's a client of ours currently. He went to school for volleyball and completely shifted himself to putting a fashion brand now on the map. Like, we're not talking like some little like cool side hustle. We're talking like damn cool stuff. And that was exactly the conversation. Do I just go through school? And it's like, what's your vision? I would say let it thrive. You know, it all goes back to that saying, shoot for the moon and you'll land on the stars. I think it's very simple based on what we know and believe about resilience. Have a vision, find a way or make one.
Find a way and like, again.
But hold on, the only caveat to that quickly is you need to understand though that will take patience. Like
for sure.
Like the junior athlete, 75 points that season, not 90. But the next season, it was a different story. He still didn't hit the 90, though. The next season, 2 years after his intended target, he hit it. What does that mean, though? Find a way or make one.
And that's a continuation with the actual, like what we're talking about today, the beliefs, the habits, that everything that goes into it. Targets are fantastic, but again, you don't see them for possibly a few years. And that comes with training yourself on these beliefs, on these habits, on the discipline, commitment, everything that goes into it, right?
Well, it's like this is a whole session on conditioning your beliefs and changing them. Think of it this way. What if your one belief was just this? Set a target, go after it, and just keep adapting until I get there. You don't have enough money that year? Wait till the next one or find a way to make more. You don't have the right people in place? Go find the right people. You don't have the right speed you need to run a certain distance? Go build the speed. The only caveat to chasing your dreams is you have to be committed to adapting and patient to accomplishing. Be aggressive with failing, right? Or not accomplishing what you want, and be committed to adaptation. If you literally do that, I've yet to see any successful individual who hasn't become it. I've only seen, and we say this all the time, it's not that the best athletes are at the pro level all the time. It's those who had the patience when everybody else around them started quitting. We've seen it. You've seen kids growing up around you that were fantastic at what they did, and they quit way before anybody else did. I was one of those athletes that literally got to the pro level by waiting everybody out.
Yeah.
I wasn't I wasn't fantastic as a kid. I was passionate, but I wasn't really good until I was like 16, 17 years old. And then I went to a Canadian university, and all my friends I went to, or colleagues or, you know, acquaintances, I'll say, that went to an American one and had their scholarships and whatever, they dudded out after 4 years.
And that's you essentially fighting against the belief that's there in the culture of the sport.
Absolutely.
Like you can only hit it. And I'm sure a lot of you listening face this as well. You have this amount of time to get here to here to here, when sometimes it's like, for sure, but do you just continue going?
Yeah.
You know?
And let's not take this out of context either. We understand athletes, because I was one and Chris was. We understand that there is a timeline on you in regards to age, right? The life of an athlete is 3 times faster than that of a business professional. 3 times shorter, I should say, right? 2.5. Where the average individual stops business around the age of 60, 65. If you're really passionate, usually you go right to death. But the average individual with sports is usually out of their sport. In respective sports, it's different numbers, but right around the age of 32 to 35.
And you know what? I really do think you will know the time.
Yeah.
If there is a time to step away, you will know it. There's no convincing yourself. There's nothing. There is, I'm done. That's it. I can listen to anybody else.
It's finished.
Like, yeah, you'll know. You know, you really will know.
But that's where too, I've noticed a lot of people don't get into that regretful phase where the sport pushed them out.
No, exactly.
Right? Like it was me. Like as crazy as it sounds, I'll never forget this. Even from reading Pirlo's book, I remember him saying, Pirlo's a fantastic soccer player. Anybody who hasn't got his book, you should. Basically saying he made this whole decision that he had to make based on if he wanted to stay in Milan or go to Barcelona. And he said literally it was a 5-minute phone call or a 5-second phone call with my agent. He said, Pirlo or Andrea, you're going to sign in Milan. He said, okay. And he goes, that was that. And it was that simple. And it was like me when I was an athlete, right? It took me literally a matter of a day to be like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah. You'll know.
You know.
Like, you know.
When you're only 98% committed, you'll know.
Yeah.
Okay. So the problem, beliefs are generalizations. Those generalizations are often given to you by other people, right? So let's talk about how a belief is formed, and then we're going to help you get rid of your limiting ones. So belief is very simple. it starts with this thing called an idea that we all have. And the best way I can say this, if you want to use an example as a reference, if you've ever written papers for school in high school or university, think of what you needed to do. So it starts with an idea, and then your teacher, your prof, or whomever says, you need to now back this up with a bunch of references so that I believe in your idea. Because a paper is just an argument, right? Just like a belief. A belief is just an argument. So it starts as an idea. You go collect a bunch of references, which we'll talk about in a sec. You repeat that and you keep seeing that, you know what? Based on this idea and based on these references, this is true. And you keep seeing that come up. This is true, this is true, this is true, this is true. That repetition of understanding the idea that is backed by references then becomes a belief. So let me give you an example. If I believe I suck at soccer, that's my belief. Let's pretend, or if I have an idea that I'm not that good at soccer, and I start gaining personal references based on those around me. So based on my experiences, I should say this quickly, there's 3 kinds of references. There's personal experiences, which is experiencing something in the past. These are the most crucial ones because they have a lot of emotional connection to it, a lot of emotional meaning. There's information you then gather, right? Which is seeing stats or seeing people, say something to you, even subjectively or whatever. And then there's imagination. So based on usually your personal experiences and the information you collect, you say to yourself, well, because I've experienced this, because I know this info to be true, probably this is what's going to happen in the future. Mm-hmm. Right? So those are the 3 references that build this idea into a belief. So let me give you an example. This was a real one for me. My idea was I wasn't that good at soccer. I'll never forget this when we were going into high school, right? And this happened probably from grades 9 to about 11, and then I took the lid off and said, F it, I'm going all in. But 9 to 11, I was like, I don't think I'm that good at soccer. And the question becomes why? Well, then I saw personal references. I didn't make my team in grade 9. I got cut from probably a mediocre soccer team in grade 9, where we didn't have a lot of great goalkeepers, right? And then I started gathering information based on that. It's like, well, I'm only really playing the lowest level of rep for a B team. Gosh, I'm not making my high school team. I lost out to an average team. I'm only playing B-level rep. And then it's like imagination kicks in and it's like, well, I guess based on the fact that I couldn't even make my high school team, I'm playing B-level rep, I'm probably not that good at soccer.
And just for reference, this is how quickly, like if you guys see this rabbit hole that Matt's going down, this is how quickly a belief can be formed.
Yeah. And this is how they are, right? And then it's like, I started going through that entire cycle and I started seeing more things come up in my environment, right? Where it's like, then I went to try out for the A team of my age and I didn't make it. And it's like, I guess I'm really not that good at soccer. But here's the funny part and the crazy part about beliefs. There's a lot of politics involved when it comes to making a team, right? There are friends with managers, with parents. I never remember seeing how true that was until I got into grade 11. And that was my shift point. When I'll never forget, I went to try out for a team in North York, Ontario. It was a higher level. And the coach literally said to me, why haven't you been playing at this level for a longer time? I said, what are you talking about? I went to a team where nobody knew who I was, a region that nobody knew who I was, and I just balled out. And that was the shift that took me from beating myself up to I don't know if I'm good enough to the next level, right? So my point is you can see how quickly an idea gets backed by references, which gets repeated and becomes a belief. So that belief got shattered based on, like you can see there, a new personal experience, right? So this is how you really dismantle, negative belief systems behind you doing what you do. You got to question the references.
Yeah.
So here's what happened to me. I had this belief that I wasn't that good at being a soccer player. I went from Pickering, which was a whatever club, to a team in North York, the Cosmos, which was, I felt right at home because I was surrounded by Italians and European people that I was like, these people get it. This is the soccer I grew up watching, right? Go to North York, a team that I'll never forget. My friend Carm, shout out to him, pushed me to go to with him. I said, all right, let's go. And I go with Carm. We go try out for the Cosmos. Coach looks at us and says, why haven't you guys been playing at this level for longer than now? Why haven't you come, earlier? They were 2 steps ahead. And I remember right there in that instant when I built a personal reference, that coach saying that to me, I'll never forget his name, Nino. Nino said to me, why haven't you been playing at this level longer than just this year? And right there, every belief, every idea, every reference I had shattered. It's like, oh my God, new personal reference. And then I started questioning it. And we started talking about the teams I was trying out for. He goes, Matt, don't you ever seem to think that so-and-so knows so-and-so who knows so-and-so, and they're the manager's son, and that's the head coach's son, and, you know, they're personal friends. So probably chances are, unless you're, you know, somebody crazy coming in from Team Canada, they're probably going to keep the same team. It's kind of like you're doomed if you do and you don't. And it's like, or if you do or you don't. And it's like, wow, that never really hit me. So am I saying that you're always doomed in politics or there? No. What I'm saying is, though, see how quickly a personal experience can completely change a belief. So once you shake those references and you say to yourself, is this really true, though? I wish I had this tool when I was in grade 10 and 11, because my life would have been completely different. I truly believe I would still be playing soccer somewhere in Europe. But I will never forget that in that moment, everything got questioned, everything got blown up. My entire belief system of, am I good enough, was literally confirmed by that one coach in my personal experience. And then think about it. Then I start gathering information. Wow, these individuals really like me. Whoa, I'm winning on this team. Whoa, oh my God, imagination now. It's like, coach liked me, told me I should be playing here. I'm winning on this team. Defenders like me. I'm making new friends. Information, personal experiences, imagination. I can do this.
That's why, again, this is so important for you guys to actually go through this before you hit into the new year.
Yep.
If you've had a hell of a time in 2022, like refresh, go into it. This is the way to do it.
Yeah.
So you're not carrying any baggage from this year.
And the other thing I was going to say too, based on that, is two things. One, things aren't always the way you think they are. Right? Like, we often make hasteful choices of what we decide to believe in, and we don't see things for what they really are. We see them for a version of what we thought they were.
Yeah, and sometimes that's just a first impression that you have, right? Like,
100%.
like if you don't necessarily know the things going on behind it, like you could have really, anyone actually could have lost their mind really thinking about, why am I not here, this, that, and everything else, when it's just like, there's a simple answer. There's actually an even simpler solution. And that's why you even see in professional sports teams, when a guy's having a difficult time on one team, gets traded or gets moved to a different team,
and they're amazing,
and then starts to go off because it's a different experience.
And just like Chris is saying, that's a great point. Look at that. New environment, new culture, new people putting beliefs onto you. You condition it and you believe it. Everybody's like, oh my God, great point for Chris too. Why is it that when you change companies or teams, all of a sudden that person that wasn't an A player there is now an A player? It's like, well, belief systems are different. Environment's different. You're going to get different results, different beliefs pushed on you. That's how it goes. If you have a crap-led, an organization led by crap leaders, and that culture bleeds in and that environment bleeds in, what do you think everybody at the bottom is going to be feeling? Mm-hmm. Right? Because players in an organization, unfortunately, you're at the bottom of the chain. Culture starts at the top.
Yeah.
So that's number one, to Chris's point. And number two, if you go into the new year without truly questioning your beliefs and you're trying to accomplish something immaculate, amazing, fantastic, and your beliefs are pulling you back, you're going to be a self-sabotager.
You're going to repeat 2022.
Yep. And it's going to be I could have, should have, would have. You're going to feel like you're another year behind, and you're going to be there. I know for us, one of the biggest ones was this year. We've invested more than we ever have in our company, larger sums of dollars, and we got rid of the fear behind doing so, and nothing but flourishing has happened with this company now.
And that's the point, which is the fear.
Yep.
Like the fear to move to a different team, the fear to try something new, the fear to do this. If that's the one thing, like, just go for it.
And let me tell you something too, because this is a topic we should hit before we get into the transformation right now. Fear. So here's what it is. False emotions appearing real. You can use whatever acronym you want for it, right? All fear is you've experienced a negative experience in the past. You're so scared you're going to go through that pain again that you avoid it in the future because that helps you gain pleasure. That's it, right? So I could have been into a spot, and thankful for, again, my friend Carm, major shout out, because he was a basic staple in my foundation of building this confidence to the person I am today by pushing me to go to that team. But you think about that for a second, and it's like I had a catalyst that pulled me out of it and said, we're going, right? Versus a fear. But my fear was, I'm not good enough to make that team. And Carm was like, shut up, we're going. Right? But that fear was real. It's like, I don't want to get embarrassed again. I don't want to, look, I was embarrassed not making my junior soccer team. I was embarrassed not making that A team. I was embarrassed being on the B team. I was overweight. I was getting made fun of, right? Like that was, unfortunately, my life up until grade 10, 11 in school, till 15, 16 years old. And, but when I had somebody push me, that was what I needed. And that fear was gone. And it was like, oh my God, I can abolish it. That's why people say your biggest accomplishments are often just on the other side of your greatest fears. Fear isn't real. Fear is a past experience that you are now correlating to all experiences. You're generalizing. Stop doing that. If you're somebody going through a fear right now, use this session, question it, and dismantle that mother effer. Because I'm telling you right now, a lot of it is just, it's false. It's not true, man.
And now you have a lot of new experiences and a lot of new skills that you've built up over that time, maybe trying to break that wall down. Like a simple example, and I'm sure a lot of people can feel this, but when you're younger, you're playing that video game, you hit that hard level, and then you just keep trying, you keep, dying to the boss or whatever it is. You put the game away, and then you come back like a couple months later, you're older, you have more, this, that, and everything else. You beat them, and then you move
feel
on.
like an animal. No, it's good. So let's talk about it. Here's how we're going to break beliefs that hold us back. Number one, we got to understand who you want to be. You've done that. Number two, we got to understand where you are and what belief is holding you back from being who you want to be. Right? Know who you want to be? Ask yourself, what's holding me back? What am I scared of? What's the thing that sabotages me? Then you're going to go into understanding how that belief holds you back and seeing why it doesn't serve you. You're going to do something called gaining leverage. Then you're going to go into questioning the references and seeing that they're untrue. We're going to forcefully make you see that they are a lie. And then finally, we're going to go create a new belief and condition it. So when I went through this process, here's how simple it was. I wanted to become a pro soccer player. The belief holding me back was that I wasn't good, as basic as that sounds. So what I went in and did was saw that just settling with believing I wasn't good didn't allow me to progress in any way. So it's like, all right, well, that's causing me pain. And then I went into it and said, well, how does that cause me emotional pain? Just like the questions you're going to get today. And I answered that. Then I went in and saw how it actually caused others around me pain. My family didn't like seeing me the way I was. And I realized the only way to truly do better for everybody, for myself and others, break the belief. So then I went into it. I saw how those references weren't true because I went through new experiences. I saw it and realized that a lot of it was based on politics and not truly who I was. Yes, I could get better, and I did. And then I went and created the new belief, which was as long as I work on myself and I stick to my focus on my vision, I'll never forget making that choice that day. I had the best increases in my strength gains that year, my speed gains, my agility gains, my sport, everything. Confidence. I got a girlfriend that summer, right? My first girlfriend. But my point is like, that's where everything changed. The new belief was formed. I realized that every day and I stuck to that. That stuck with me through high school. It was so long as I'm focused on my vision and I work on myself, I can accomplish what I want.
And that's when you can truly not care about what other people are doing around you. When you're so focused on what you have to do, it just comes naturally.
100%. So let's free you now. So what we're going to do is we're going to put all these questions that we have here, there's a good amount of them, in the description below. Get your notebook, get your pen. I highly suggest you write and go through these questions. Okay. So number one, you're going to ask yourself, who do I believe that I am? Go back to what we did in week 1. Ask yourself who you want to be. Okay. So if you want to be a difference maker, great. Next, what are the beliefs that hold me back? Write down the thing. Okay. Write down a list of them actually. This is what we do with our clients. We write down a list of things. So you'll find that it's like, okay, well, I'm worried about what other people think. I don't really believe myself. I feel pressure from my parents. I feel pressure from this athlete. I feel pressure from that teammate. Then what you're going to do is circle the one that's responsible for everything. So here's how you're going to do this. You're going to sit there and say, what actually causes the other? Remember how I just said, I don't really trust in myself. And then it's like, I'm worried about coaches. I'm worried about players. That not trusting yourself is the root. That's the pain you're avoiding. Because that leads to, think of it, if you trust yourself, don't you think that you're not really worried if you can deliver for the coach or your teammates or your parents? If you trust yourself, maybe that's a belief you got to get behind. So circle the one that's most disempowering for you, okay? Then you got to understand, where did the belief first start? For me, it first started with junior soccer in grade 9. That's simple, right? Then you got to ask yourself, how does this belief negatively impact me? How does it negatively impact others? So you're going to write another list for this. It negatively impacts me because I don't feel confident. It negatively impacts me because I question myself all the time. I beat myself up. You want to put yourself into a state of pain. You need to see this belief is causing you pain. Hardcore black and white pain. Okay. Then you're going to see how it negatively impacts others. This was a big one for me with my business. I realized if I didn't get over the fear of spending that large amount of money on our business and investing it and trusting it, I would never be able to help my parents the way I wanted to. I would never be able to build the life that I wanted to for myself. My brother and I would suffer. That pain of others for me in that instant was bigger than anything else. Okay. So once you get into that, you got to ask yourself, why is this belief ridiculous in any way? So if your belief is that you're not good enough and you don't trust yourself, you need to see why it's ridiculous. You got to see, well, I haven't really put in the specific work I need to trust myself. Ta-da. Or maybe it's this belief is ridiculous because I'm seeing it as spending money instead of investing money to make me more in my business, to grow my business. Ta-da. But you got to become logical. And I'm telling you, if you truly become logical at this point, you'll be able to dismantle any belief, because you'll find that a lot of beliefs that you build are often unrational and not logical beliefs that you're building, right? Like you're often building a belief when you're in a state of panic in some way or in a state of pain, and it causes you to build a belief around yourself that's actually, it really doesn't make sense when you question it.
Well, yeah, it's because you want to avoid it, right?
Yeah.
Well, like at the base level, you just want to avoid it. And I think if you can catch yourself in that moment, you can kind of slow that process down a little bit.
Yep. 100%. Then you got to think of the past, right? Would this belief have served you in the past then? Or sorry, back up. Next thing you got to do is you got to understand the truth now. So once you question your belief, come up with a new one. So if your belief was, I don't really trust myself and I don't get what I want in life, and you realize that this was a negative belief, and you realize this was something that started when you had a bad tryout for a soccer team like I did, and you question it and you say, well, what's the actual truth? And you say, well, that was full of politics, and so long as I'm focused on me and working on me, I actually can accomplish what I want. I just got to find the right fit. That's your new belief. Then you got to ask yourself after that, once you create your new belief and you make sense of it. So here's the key. Your new truth is your new belief. So like I just said, my truth would have been then, like I said, in that age period of my life, the past was politically influenced. I came to a new team. I saw from a coach that as long as I'm truly focused on working on myself, I can get what I want. That was my new belief that I literally went through in my head every single day. And this is all you need to do with a belief is remind yourself, this is actually what's true. Mm-hmm. Relax. Going through tough situations, this is actually what's true. Okay. So what you're going to do is think of the past, and you're going to write down, would this have served you in the past? That would have served me totally in the past. You're going to then write down, think of the present. Will this serve me in the present? Yeah. Well, if I have a vision and I'm focused on working on myself, of course, I'm going to get better. And will this help me in the future? Of course. Right. So for me in the current business day one, it was like, if I invest my money instead of spend it, yeah, this would have helped in the past. I would have made smarter decisions. Well, yeah, this is going to help in the present because I'm going to be able to build this side of my company. Well, yeah, this is going to help in the future because if I invest here and I make more money, I can invest in future things and make more money and help more people, right? Very simple stuff. And then the final part, you need to schedule time that you're going to review the belief every single day. Set a time and a location. It goes right back to a habit. This should be one of the things that you do in the morning. This is what we do with every single athlete, every high performer we work with. They literally review their beliefs every day. And that's it. And the more you do this, you do what's called conditioning. You associate neurologically your condition your belief to feeling a certain way, and you go get it. But every day, here's the key behind high performers. Every day, high performers are conditioning their beliefs. So the next question becomes, how often should you do this? At least once a month. Mm-hmm. At least. The moment you get yourself into a negative situation, even the moment you start finding yourself spiraling, do this. Go listen to this podcast episode again. Answer these questions. But high performers question their beliefs. When we program this with people, we are questioning beliefs at least once a month with our people. Because that is how the environment has the opportunity, if you let it, to get into your head. And once it gets into your head, it's over. So, quick recap. We do things to avoid pain and gain pleasure. Beliefs are generalizations of past experiences, information, or imagination that you've gathered that you believe will cause you pain and make you gain pleasure. Fear happens when you experience something painful in the past and you say, I'm going to avoid that at all costs going into the future. To break beliefs, you simply need to shake the references, question them, and come up with a new one. You got the questions. They're in the description. And I'm telling you, We have seen people come from the streets and the slums and become successful athletes. We have seen the same with business. We've seen the same in every walk of life. I'm telling you, you already have every capability you need. You need to get out of your own way. This is it. You got it. So, if you like this episode, please make sure to subscribe, click the notification bell, get into our channel if you're watching on YouTube. The other thing I'm going to ask you, if you find somebody suffering, getting in their own way, share this with them.
And if you have any questions either, or they have any questions, guys, we're trying to open up our Twitter to as many people as possible. Go over there, give us a follow at MalaTM, and ask us any questions that you may have. We might be able to, go into them on a podcast and a YouTube video. And remember, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Twitter, and what was the last one? The blog. Go check out the blog. Everything, we're going to have it in the description below. And you guys will be getting this the week after. So we hope you all have a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Yep. And the last thing I was going to say, please, genuinely coming from the bottom of our heart, we're trying to grow this thing. If you got value out of this, if it helped you in any way, please make sure to share it. The only way we can keep coming up with more free content like this, more free trainings, more free all this, is if you share it. Share it, share the love, spread the love, and we'll see you all in the next one.